Okay, well, welcome. Welcome to the Truist Lecture Series. I am Susan Tallman. I'm a long time, 30 years lived in Clinton. My daughter graduated in 21, Brooke Tallman. I just became I'm going to take this for all I got. I just became your honorary alumni. So I can now say I'm the class of 2025 instead of 89. So first, this is our guest tonight, Mr. Lee Hunter.
Hi.
He is the class of 94. You can cheer for 94.
That just makes me old.
I know, we're old. We are old. Okay, and our sponsor tonight, who's a lovely gentleman right here. His name is Wes Wright. He is the Senior Vice President. Please stand, sir. He's the Senior Vice President of Truist. He has 42 years in the banking industry, but most notable, he has 10 children, and 8 of them are females. I have 3 girls, so the fact that he is still, upright and working and living the dream is amazing. And he wanted me to say it's all with the same wife.
10? Really?
Yes. See, I was on this end of the table. He gave that to me at the dinner table.
I got 2, and that's all I can keep
I know. Girls are hard. Girls are hard. So welcome. We're going to do a more informal version of this. And I think both of us would like any discussion or any questions. If you ever want to ask a question, just raise your hand and we'll get you to answer the question. Okay, let's just do a check here. How many are in the business school? That'd be good to know. Okay, great. Athletes. Good. Somebody else, throw something else out.
History majors.
All right, you're in good company.
Poli-sci majors.
Yeah. One up there. Psychology, give me another one. Oh, good.
See, we all should be psychology majors.
I think we all are psychology majors in life.
No, I'm 100% serious.
Yeah.
We should all be psychology majors.
Right. Okay, well, good to know. How many of you ever stayed in a hotel? Okay. This man right here is a commercial broker for hotels. So he buys, you're buyers and sellers of hotels. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Let's see. I am a commercial real estate broker. My asset class is hotels. So what that means is I play Monopoly. I buy and sell hotels and help my clients really buy and sell hotels. So let's say your parents own a house, right? If your parents want to buy a house, they call a real estate broker. That real estate broker helps them buy a house. If your parents want to sell a house, they call a real estate broker. That real estate broker helps them sell a house. I perform the function of that real estate broker, except for a house, I'm doing it with a hotel. Hotels are franchised. Hilton does not own the Hilton Hotel. Marriott does not own the Marriott Hotel. They are franchised. Just like McDonald's is a franchise, Burger King's a franchise, Bojangles is a franchise, hotels are franchised. All of us could get together, throw in money, and go buy a hotel. So I perform that function of selling the hotel for whether it be a publicly traded REIT, a private equity firm, or just a bunch of doctors who play golf together on Saturday who want to own a hotel.
How many people are interested in real estate in general? Yeah. It's hard to get into right after school because there's a lot of time there's not insurance, you're working for commissions basically. But one thing I want to say, does anybody know what a broker is versus a agent in general? You do? Good. A broker basically, and correct me if I'm wrong, if it's different for commercial. I'm real estate, I'm in residential, he's commercial. A broker carries all of the way I look at it, all of us agents are out here working in the field, and they have to stand up and carry the burden of everything we do. They're legally responsible. So we're kind of all agents under that one person. So when you're the broker, you're the one that is literally representing the deal, even though there might be little people like me, in there. They have to stand up for it and stand behind it.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah. Short version, yeah. I mean, my team is not allowed to sign contracts. Every time they want to do a deal, they have to bring it to me, and I have to approve it and get them to sign. So I have management responsibility from that perspective, but then I also have sales responsibility, and that I have clients that I've worked with for 25 years, that every time they want to buy something or sell something, they'll call me. And so I'm actively involved on the sales side, but also have to manage the team when they're out working with really other clients. I mean, I was class of 94. My brother was class of 95. And we were both in the business school. I was double major accounting and business management. He was just business management. But we now work together. So that's fun. Yeah.
And you, okay, so let's back up. In 1978, we'll get through your college part too. But in 1978, your father started the business.
Yes.
Correct? And a long time ago, I heard a really good piece of advice that said they asked a very well-known businessman if he were to end up in New York with only $1,000 today, what would he do? And he said, I would spend my first week talking to everybody and trying to figure out what is the void, what are people missing that I need to, what can I do to fill that void? So I just wonder in 1978, how did it all start?
My dad, first of all, 1978, I was 7 years old.
Right.
My father had worked, my father grew up in Lyman, South Carolina. Anybody know where Lyman, South Carolina is? Think Spartanburg. And then went to Georgia Tech, and then went to the Air Force, because he was Air Force ROTC at Tech. Interesting fact, he was stationed in San Antonio on general staff and actually met Kennedy in San Antonio the day before Kennedy was assassinated.
Wow.
In Dallas. So gets out of the Air Force, moves back to Atlanta. He was going to go to graduate school at UNC, decided not to, got a job working for IBM. Learned how to he was selling mainframe computers to hospitals. It's not
that were probably ginormous.
That were not your little laptop that you
Right.
work on, that are bigger than that
Right, yeah.
podium right there. Learned how to sell, went into commercial real estate after my brother was born because he needed health insurance from IBM. Couldn't go into real estate because real estate, we're a commission-based business, which means if we don't sell, we don't make money. And, there's a lot of reasons why deals don't close, but when deals don't close, we don't make money. So he needed health insurance till my brother was born, left, did general commercial real estate, ended up doing a hotel deal or two for a lender, liked it, realized it was a niche business that nobody else was doing.
Nobody was doing. Yeah.
Hung up a shingle and said, hi, we're Hunter Hotel Advisors.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been selling hotels ever since.
It's amazing. So fill the void. That's lesson number one. And then how did you find PC as your family grew?
Let's see, how do we find PC? I just said my father grew up in Lyman. He went to Tech. His best friend went to Clemson once a year. His best friend happens to also be my godfather. We would go to Lyman and spend the weekend. On the way back to Atlanta, my grandfather passed before I was born, but grew up here in Clinton. So my grandfather is actually buried in the cemetery at First Presbyterian Church, along with multiple other generations of my family. So we would come, my dad wanted to go to his father's grave. He dragged my brother and I along. As we got to high school, hey, let's drive around this school over here. At one point, I was actually being recruited to play football up here. and then tore my knee, and there went that. But I still liked the school.
Yeah.
I was afraid of, I grew up in Atlanta, and I was afraid if I went to the University of Georgia with all my friends from high school, at the time it was only 28,000 kids, I was afraid I'd never go to class. I'd join the fraternity, I'd be at the fraternity house every night, or in downtown Athens every night, and school would be a secondary mindset. That's not the case here, right? I mean, when I was I know it's very different now, I've heard from some of y'all today. When I was in the business department here, we had 8 a.m. classes 5 days a week. And you got 4 cuts. On that 5th one, you failed the class, period, end of discussion. So you'd be out at fraternity court or at some party, and on Thursday night, along about midnight, you'd see all the business majors leaving and heading home because we had 8 a.m. class on Friday morning. It's just what it was. And I love that because it held me accountable, right? I mean, if I had gone to Georgia class, what's that?
I went to Indiana University, which I went to school with 40,000 of my closest friends. And I mean, my freshman year, I'm not kidding, I probably did not come in contact with an adult in the school element. I mean, I sat in a room with 250 to 300, and I sat all the way in the back, and I didn't want to be seen necessarily. And so when I moved to Clinton and learned about PC, because we live like 2 blocks from here, and I was talking to Craig Powell. Have y'all had Craig Powell? Chemistry? No, I haven't. The business majors. So he's a scientist, and he was telling me about his labs in the morning. He's like, I sometimes have like 5 kids in my lab. And I said, oh my gosh, so they have to go. Because I did not attend my freshman year a lot of the time. And he said, yes, they have to go. If they're not there, I call them. And I was like, wow, that's accountability. You can't get that in a lot of places. So y'all are very fortunate, although sometimes you might not think so. Who was your favorite professor and why?
My favorite or my most influential?
Most influential, let's say.
Dr. Fred Chapman.
Right. And why is that?
He held us accountable. If you showed up in class and were not prepared, he picked on you. All class. Question after question after question after question was coming your way. And if you weren't prepared, it was hell.
Right.
I mean, Robert Thomas can answer that. I mean, classmate of mine, fraternity brother of mine, here tonight, thank you very much. He can attest to the same fact. If you showed up to Dr. Chapman's class and weren't prepared, you may as well take a cut, and even if it was your 5th, because it was miserable. But he held you accountable. Right. Which meant I lived in Lauren's dorm, no longer exists. Someone said it's the mail room. But that was a dorm. I lived in the same room my sophomore, junior, and senior year. And we had 12 rooms in that dorm. All 12 were occupied by fraternity brothers. It was a second fraternity house, right? But it was a very short walk to the library. And we'd find ourselves in the library every night, and then walk back to Lauren's about 10:30, have a couple beers, go to bed, and call it a night. Get up the next day and do it all over again.
And that translates to the workplace very easily, and in a real way.
The business department's attitude was, look, when you graduate, you're in the world of 8 o'clock classes and 0 cuts. So get used to it now.
Right.
Right. I mean, look, I sit in Atlanta. I've got 30 people on my team all over the country, but 15 of us are in Atlanta. If they're not there by, it's not a 9 to 5. That doesn't exist anymore.
Not in real estate anyway, in general.
Well, yeah, Not in any business where you are compensated, rewarded based on your production.
Right.
You're on all the time.
So after you graduated from PC, you worked for a little bit. And what did you do there? What did you do when you worked?
I worked for an appraiser.
Oh.
And was doing appraisal work on hotels. Again, remember, my father started our business.
Right.
So I ended up working, doing some appraisal work on hotels, learning that.
Do y'all know what an appraisal is? Anyone? Bueller?
When you
do?
When you buy a hotel, you've got to get debt, right? And let's pick numbers for talking purposes here. If the hotel's worth $10 million, you got to go to the bank and get a loan to buy the hotel. The bank is going to give you anywhere from 60% to 70% debt. So that's $6 to $7 million the bank's going to loan you. You therefore do the math. It's real easy. You got to come up with $3 to $4 million in equity of your money with which to buy the hotel. Well, the bank's not going to loan you, say, $7 million just because out of the kindness of their heart. They want to know that the underlying asset is really worth the $10 million that you're paying for it.
Right.
So the appraiser, they commission a third-party appraisal to tell them what the hotel's worth. And then they're going to loan off of that. In an ideal world, it comes back that the hotel's worth plus or minus $10 million. They give you $7 million, you have $3 million, you buy the hotel, life goes on. Sometimes it's not always that easy. Right? If the appraisal comes back, hey, the hotel is only worth $9 million, well, then we have a problem.
Right. You'll have a gap.
We'll have a gap. So either the buyer has to come up with another $1 million, or the seller's got to come down $1 million in price. And let me tell you what the seller's not going to do.
Right.
So a lot of that can cause problems. But the appraiser works for the bank. So for 2 years, I was working for an appraiser.
Right. And then you went to Cornell.
Then I went to Cornell.
Did you feel prepared to go to Cornell?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. It was Cornell, PC absolutely prepared me for Cornell. First of all, an Ivy League school, the hard part about Ivy League schools is getting in. 1 + 1 = 2 wherever you are, right? So the hard part about Ivies is getting in. Once you're there, it's the same thing. So PC absolutely prepared me for Cornell. A step further, 2 things. One, if you're thinking about graduate school, whether that be business school, law school, med school, take your GMAT, LSAT, MCAT now while you're in school, you're used to studying, because those test scores will last for 5 years. Right? So then you get out, 2-3 years, I want to go back. You're not used to studying and taking tests. That's a problem. So take it now. But you're there. Business school is very good for the poli-sci majors, for the history majors, right? Because what do you do at the end of your sophomore year, beginning of your junior year? You declare your major, right? And a lot of y'all have declared business as business majors. So you're taking accounting, you're taking marketing, you're taking management, you're taking all those business school classes. Well, guess what you do when you get to business school? You take finance and accounting and marketing. So you take them again. You take them again. Which, at least 2 things. For me, as an accounting major here, I was actually able to exempt my accounting class at Cornell, because I showed them a transcript and I had a good enough grade that I was able to exempt that class. But the other classes, I knew what was going on ahead of time. So in some of them I had now I understand what, Dr. Scarborough was talking about. Now I understand what Mr. Howell was talking about, and you just more clarity. So it's really good for, business school is designed for the non-business majors, but it's a necessary evil depending on where you're working.
Yeah.
Because a lot of my clients are private equity groups out of New York, and they hire kids as analysts, and you got 2 years. And at the end of 2 years, one of 3 things is happening. You're getting promoted, you're going to business school, or you're getting fired. They ain't nothing else happening other than one of those three things. Right? And so business school becomes a necessary evil for those kids who aren't getting promoted. Right?
Right.
So even if you are a business major, you go back, you spend 2 years at Cornell or wherever, and now you get another job coming out at another firm.
Yeah. I do think graduate school is becoming so much more normal than it, I'm younger than you are, when I was younger, a lot of people didn't go to graduate school, but raise your hand if you're thinking about going to graduate school. Yeah.
Before we move on, was there a question?
What class did he take that the best
Dr.
skills?
Thompson's psychology class. Dean Thompson's psychology class. Which is why I said everybody should be a psychology major. Because I have seen deals with a lot of zeros behind them happen for non-financial reasons, right? Think about it this way. In 2019, all your private equity firms were raising hundreds of millions of dollars to deploy and invest in acquiring hotel deals. Well, what happened in March of 2020? COVID. Guess what nobody did in 2020? Bought a hotel. So you got these guys and girls in New York who raised hundreds of millions of dollars to use to buy hotels, and they weren't buying hotels. Well, how do those people get paid? They get paid an acquisition fee when they buy something. They get paid an asset management fee as long as they own it, and they get paid a disposition fee when they sell it. And what they hope is when they sell it, they're in the promote, and that's when they make all their money, is if they get into the promote on the waterfall. And this is all financial stuff that I'm happy to talk to about anybody later. But they all started doing stuff that didn't make financial sense. Why? Because they had hundreds of millions of dollars that they raised that was sitting in a money market account earning, 4% somewhere, when they'll earn 10 to 15% on a hotel deal. It doesn't look good to them. They can't give it back to the investors. That's the worst thing you could do as a private equity shop, is to give money back. You've gone to a pension fund, you've gone to a high net worth individual, you've gone to a college endowment and said, hey, give me your money, I'm going to invest it and earn you 15% a year. No, sorry, I didn't invest it, here's your money back. That's the worst thing that can happen. Why? Because when I raise fund 2 and I come, hey, give me money, did you invest the last money I gave you? How'd that work out? Oh, it didn't. So these people were doing deals that didn't make sense. They were buying stuff because they had mortgage payments to make. They had car insurance payments to make. They had to put, they had kids, so they have to buy food for their kids. So the psychology of it all, the human nature of it all was trumping the business financial sense of it all. So that's why I said everybody should be a psychology major, or at least minor. Again, my brother was class of 95. He will tell you the same thing. We should all been, at least psychology minors. Because there's so many times a deal happens that does not make financial sense. It's the psychology of it all. Right,
and the relationships that are formed and how to read people and just take care of people.
Take care of people. How do you know what's driving someone? What's their motivation? And everybody has different motivations. So how do you know what their motivation is to do a transaction? And how can you leverage that motivation to make sure the deal gets closed? Because I represent the seller. So I'm looking out for the seller on their behalf. And so I want to know what's motivating the buyer to do this transaction, and anything that I can leverage that will benefit my client.
Right.
So we all should, psychology minor at minimum. Now Dr. Gillespie, who was a poli-sci major, he was
good too.
He was good too.
Yep. So after you graduated from Cornell, you went straight into the family business?
No. I work on the sell side, right? I just said I represent sellers, so I work on the sell side of the equation. I went and worked on the buy side of the equation. The buy side is who I sell to, that, right? So I went and worked on the buy side. I was an analyst, underwrote acquisition and development deals. The companies I worked for, we were buying hotels, we were building hotels, and I was the analyst for most that underwrote the financial viability of those deals. And I did that for 7 years.
And then you went into
And then went back to, fun. Always knew I was going to come back to the family business, but.
Well, that was one of my questions. Like, some people don't,
well, that's
some
what I did.
people might fight it. Like, I don't want to go work with my father, but.
Look, it's the best part of my job and the worst part of my job, right? I get to see my dad and my brother every day.
Yeah.
Right? But I always knew at some point I was going back to the family. I mean, my brother, when he finished PC, went to work for IBM, learning how to sell. Again, we represent the sell side. So that kid, my brother can sell ice to Eskimos. And they don't even know it. I mean, Robert can tell you that. He's great. I went and worked on the financial side of this equation. So now that we're partners together, we work really well together. It's been a great partnership.
Right.
But it was very intentional. It was not, what else am I going to do? Oh, I'll go back to work at the family business.
Right.
No, it was very, very intentional. Matter of fact, when I came back, it was January of 2005. And I know that because I had just gotten married, just gotten back from my honeymoon. I was got into the office, I was working for another company. I got hired about 6 months prior to run a debt fund, basically be a lender, private lender for hotels. The company had a bunch of equity funds, the equity buying the hotel, that had been very successful. And so they started in on, hey, let's do a debt fund. They hired me to run the debt fund. And the goal was we have 12 months to make our first investment. All right, we can do that. So my first day with them, October 1st. Why do I know that? Because my birthday is October 4th. So I'd been working for them for 3.5 months, got married, come back from my honeymoon, in the office early to clear out email and see what I missed, so I'm gone. Guy walks into my office, hey, come see me when you get a second. I said, great. I walk in. He said, I don't know how to tell you this, so I'm going to tell you this. We closed the debt fund while you were on your honeymoon. Excuse me? Yeah, our equity funds are really, really successful. We've made the decision to roll all the money in the debt fund into a new equity fund. And we don't need you to run the equity fund because we've already got somebody doing that.
Thank you.
Great. 9 a.m. on Monday morning, I'm calling my brand new wife. Honey, hi. Guess what just happened to me? Next phone call was to my brother, who had gone back to the family business at the time. And he's like, have you talked to Dad? I'm like, no. He goes, you know what he's going to tell you, don't you? I said, yes. He goes, great, I'll see you tomorrow. And that's kind of exactly how it went. I called my dad. My dad's like, okay, great. You've been playing, you've played long enough, done your own thing long enough. Now it's time. So
I do think it's interesting. It seems, and maybe it didn't play out like this, but it seemed like everything you did was very intentional, though, to get where you are.
Yes.
You were learning intentionally as you went in preparation for what you're doing, and learning all aspects of the business, not just one. I just want to sell, or I just want to be the broker. You did all the aspects of the business.
Yeah, it was very intentional. I was in a class earlier today. I see some of the students in the audience tonight. You got to have a you have to have a plan, right? And you have to have goals, and a lot of y'all are athletes, so y'all are used to setting goals and having a plan to achieve those goals, right? It's no different from football, basketball, baseball, soccer, tennis, golf, volleyball, softball, whatever, than being in business, right? You gotta have goals, and you have to have a plan on what you're going to do to execute upon those goals. And you have to be very intentional about it. Look, at the end of the day, all we have is time, right? I mean, I don't have a widget that I manufacture that I then go sell, right? I don't have that.
Yeah.
All we have is time, and you have, I mean, seniors in the room, what is this? We're in October. So November, December, y'all got 7 months and you're out of college. What are y'all going to do with that time? Are you going to make new friends who are currently freshmen? Or are you going to spend time with the people who are also seniors that you've been with for the last 3.5 years? Because in 7 months from now, y'all are all going 100 different directions. All you have is your time. Use it wisely.
And he said today in the class, he was in a class today talking and said that even though you might not be in sales, you are in sales. You're selling yourself all the time. And we had a conversation earlier about AI, and same thing, like you have to make yourself unique and genuine, authentic, and sell yourself.
Everybody's in sales. Doctors are in sales. Lawyers are in sales. Accountants are in sales. Everybody's in sales. I mean, the example I used in class today, we were skiing and my wife tore her ACL. We live in Atlanta. I know 10 orthopedic surgeons that can do her ACL replacement. Which one am I going to use? Who am I going to call? We were in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, skiing. She did it on Monday afternoon. By Tuesday afternoon, we had an appointment with an orthopedic surgeon in Atlanta for when we were back in town the following Monday. Why? Because there were friends of ours who were in Colorado and Steamboat as well, who knew. We had 3 different people recommending the same orthopedic surgeon, who we knew. He's in sales. Everybody's in sales.
Yes. And you're always trying to fill a void and be of service. A lot when you're getting into business, a lot of it is not the money right away. It's just not, especially in real estate. It's hard. But a lot of it is service and just taking care of people. Wouldn't you agree? That's just...
It's a service. We're not the biggest firm doing what we do. We compete against household names in general commercial real estate that are publicly traded companies that deal in all asset classes. We compete against their hotel teams. They have the same access to information that we do. And this is, y'all won't remember this, but Avis Car Rental had a slogan, "We try harder." And, that's how we compete with, the CBREs of the world, the JLLs of the world, Cushman & Wakefield's of the world, Marcus & Millichap's of the world. We compete on our service level is just better than theirs, right? We have weekly calls with our clients who we're selling assets for, just to give them an update as to what happened in the previous week. Because they want to know, right? So we have, I feel like that's all I do all day, every day, is have clients with calls. Here's what happened this week. Here's your update. But you have to compete and be better than them at some level. So now what is it that you do better? And once you identify what you do better than your competition, stick with it. Hammer on it. Don't, a couple years ago it was, these are your strengths. Work on your weaknesses. Play to your strengths. Don't try to improve your weaknesses. Play to your strengths.
Right. In our business, we're in residential real estate. We get things a lot like, and this is so different, but the same at some level. Somebody's selling their house, they close in a week and they're in a panic because they have all this furniture. What am I doing with this furniture? And my friend Heather and I are like, we'll take care of your furniture. We'll do it. I got a pod for somebody. I said, I'll have a pod delivered to you and take care of you. I do think at some point you have to look past the money and just give the service. And over time, the money comes. Those people go tell, you've got to call Lee because he'll take care of you. He will take care of you in a pinch. Yeah,
and in your world, how often are people selling their homes? So they don't know. So you're able to help them, through a really monumental experience personally.
It is.
Because they don't know.
We just did one where the people have not sold their house like in 45 years. They've been in their house. And about a week before we closed, does everybody know what closed means? Like the deal's done. So the house becomes the buyer's on that day. A week before, the guy was like, well, we get to move out for the next week, right? That's what we did last time. I'm like, no, it's not how it works anymore.
That's right.
You got to be out. Come on, we'll help you. But you help them out. You get them through it, Yep.
Yeah, and the one thing I will say, everything is negotiable. Literally, everything is negotiable. When you don't think it's negotiable,
right,
it's negotiable. We have again, my brother can sell ice to Eskimos. He and I have a running joke. Who can negotiate the price of a Happy Meal? You go to McDonald's, a Happy Meal is what a Happy Meal is, right?
Right.
We will try to negotiate the price of a Happy Meal at McDonald's, just for giggles, right? I mean, to put it in a business perspective, I had a client one day, we don't show up at closings anymore.
Right.
Right? It's all done electronically. DocuSign's a wonderful thing. But when we used to show up at closings, I had a client one time, at the closing, everybody's there to sign the paperwork, right? Sign the contracts, all right. At the closing table, the guy said, Lee, I need a $200,000 price reduction, otherwise I'm not closing. And I didn't flinch, and I went, no. He says, okay. And
it was a test.
We walk out, I look at him, and I'm like, what the hell was that? He goes, Lee, if I don't ask for a $200,000 price reduction, you're not going to give me a $200,000 price reduction. I'm going to close, but if I don't ask for it, you're not going to give it to me. He's like, you ever do that to me again, you are never going to do another deal with me. But that was his whole point, was if I don't ask, I don't get it. It didn't hurt him to ask.
Right.
And he was he closed, he was completely prepared for me to say no. But if I had flinched, that would have been a problem.
Right. Got to stick to it. Okay, so you did in class, tell them a little bit about the hotels that you represent, like names, so we can wake them up a little bit.
We are not all things to everybody. If you own the St. Regis or the Four Seasons or the Ritz-Carlton, I'm not your guy. I know the guy for you. His name's Bob Webster. He sits in Atlanta. I'll give you his cell phone number. Call him. He'll do a great job for you. What we do is mid-market to upscale select service. So brand names that you would recognize would be Hampton Inn, Courtyard, Hilton Garden Inn, Residence Inn, Home 2 Suites, True, a little bit of Holiday Inn Express. We don't do so many Comfort Inns, Comfort Suites anymore. We used to do a lot of those, but we don't anymore. We've sort of moved upstream on that. Embassy Suites we do a lot of. I've got a Renaissance in Milwaukee I'm selling right now. I got a Marriott in downtown Nashville I'm selling right now. But primarily it's that what we call mid-market select service type stuff.
Did you know that, what is it, the West End Point set in Greenville is going up for sale?
We sold the how many people from Greenville? All right, we sold the Courtyard in downtown Greenville twice now. Sold it a few years ago and then sold it again for the group we sold it to just last week.
That's awesome.
To the guy who owns the AC in downtown, AC by Marriott in downtown Greenville, who I went to Cornell with.
See, it's all connections.
It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
Do we have a question?
How did you handle the time when classes felt competitive or maybe you had like a motivation?
Can you say it again?
How did you handle the time when classes felt competitive or you felt a lack of motivation?
In class?
Yeah.
That gets down to it, because all due respect to my professors, some of who are here, and I love y'all. It can drag, right? I mean, class can drag at times. There's certain portions of the year where, it can be a drag. For me personally, I was fortunate that I played sports in high school, right? And if I hadn't blown my knee out, I would have played in college. But that background of 5 a.m. workout and class and practice and homework and get up the next morning and do it all over again through high school, it's repetitive, but you fall back on that, right? It's what you know. It's like at practice when you've run the same drill over and over and over and over and over again. It becomes second nature and you don't think about it. So when class drags and you're starting to lose your motivation, you double down, right? You acknowledge that you're losing motivation. Hey, I got 4 cuts, I'm going to take one of them, right? I've been in 8 a.m. classes. I'm going to use one. I'm going to sleep in. I need some me time, right? But then all the other stuff that you've learned over your life, and again, it might seem, when you're again, for me, it was, I practice, oh gosh, this is miserable, but then come game time, it's all you know, because you've done it time and time and time and time and time again. So it just comes down to, you've got to recognize, this is dragging, take a day, but then you got to refocus. It's not as warm and fuzzy as it might should be, but the world's hard. It is not fair. People do not care that you have a personal problem going on. It is. I mean, I don't want to, it may sound harsh, but they don't care. You're going through a divorce. Your kid's about to fail out of school. They don't care. You're on vacation. Lee, I don't care. I got to get my deal done. Right? The best part and the worst part is technology. Right? I used to be able to get on an airplane and fly to LA and I got 4.5 hours, I can do nothing. Not anymore.
Isn't that the truth?
Not anymore. I got 4.5 hours, I better be getting through email. Better be reviewing some, spreadsheet that my analyst just put together. I better be reviewing some offering memorandum that one of my team members wrote that I need to make sure they don't have punctuation errors and they've dotted every I and literally dotted I's and crossed T's and don't have spelling mistakes. Yeah, I used to be able to sit and do nothing, but now I got 4.5 hours, I got to still be working. And with the phone, my family and I, we go skiing every spring break, right? I got a sophomore and a senior in high school. We go skiing every spring break. I'm on the chairlift on my phone, going through email, going through texts that I've gotten that have come in since I skied from the top of the mountain down. Nobody cares that I'm on spring break. Yeah, I put my out of office notification on that I'm on spring break and I'll get back to you when I can. But that doesn't mean you'll hear from me next week.
But also, some of that is you probably, and why you're good at what you do. Some people would maybe not take the call, but if you want to stay at the top and stay good at what you're doing, you will do that.
Correct.
Yes.
You can absolutely check out
Yes.
and not answer phone calls and not return emails. But again, we compete, we are punching way above our weight, right? We're a lightweight crew rolling against heavyweight crew, right? And we punch way above our weight. And if we don't do that, then we don't get the business. And when someone walks into an investment committee in New York and says, hey, we're going to go with CBRE, JLL, or Hunter Hotel Advisors. If I am not doing my job, they're going to go, okay, I've heard of CBRE and JLL, but who in the wide, wide world of sports is Hunter Hotel Advisors? Right?
Right, and so I was taking notes when you were in class today, but, no, that's not it. In 2020, tell your numbers again and how they dropped during COVID. So they can get a grasp on how much business you actually do.
Coming out of COVID in 22, remember there's all this pent up demand, right? Because nobody was spending money. In 2021, so in calendar year 22, we did 174 single asset transactions.
With the average?
Almost a little bit over $2.5 billion in volume. In calendar year 23, that 174 dropped to 80. Why? Easy. Interest rates went up. I don't control interest rates, right? That's way above my pay grade. But we did half the business, literally half the volume in 23 that we did in 22, strictly because interest rates go up. Now, for all you business majors out there, interest rates go up, cap rates go up, values go down. Sellers usually don't want to sell when values go down. They want to sell high, not low, right? So nobody was transacting. Same thing in 24. We actually did more transactions in 24. We did 86.
86, yeah, I found it.
Right? We did 86 in 24, up from 80.
But that's still half of
That's
what he
still
was
half
doing
of what we had done.
with the same amount of employees, the same lifestyle.
Expenses stay the same. Revenue just changed.
So you got to
save. Doesn't work well. Yeah, that's right.
Save your money.
That's right. Save your money. Don't spend don't spend everything. As my grandfather said, any idiot can make $1, but it takes a damn smart man to save $1. We coming into 25, we were like, okay, we've gotten certainty. There's been an election. We know who the president's going to be. We don't think interest rates are going to come down significantly, moving forward. Okay, we got certainty. The market hates uncertainty. We got certainty. All right, transaction volume should pick up. Hopefully we do more than 86 deals this year. And it was. People were underwriting deals. Our clients all over the country were underwriting deals. And then Liberation Day hit. Trump enacted all these tariffs. And everybody went pencils down. And the market got scared. And nobody did anything, right? There was uncertainty. Well, now people are starting to realize the tariffs, not necessarily as bad. Interest rates, okay, they're coming down a little bit. Remember that psychology thing I said earlier? People are sitting on a bunch of money. They got to spend it because they want to make money. So deals are starting to come back a little bit, as evidenced in the third quarter alone. We did more transactions in the third quarter than we did the first 2 quarters combined. We closed 36 transactions for $515 million in the third quarter. Knock on wood, we'll get $580 million worth of transactions closed here in the fourth quarter. Strange thing happens, deals aren't closed till the check clears the bank, but knock on wood, we'll get there. So the market's starting to pick up. But again, we'll still end up at 80-ish, 85-ish transactions when we were budgeting 25 to be north of 100. And none of this is within our control. We don't control interest rates. We don't control what President Trump does. We don't, it's all out of our control, yet our little business is dependent on it.
Your little business.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any other questions? Yes. Biggest mistakes he made while trying to figure out his career? Build his career.
I've made a lot of mistakes. Not being patient is the biggest. Back when I was working on the buy side, I was recruited to go from one company to another. And let's face it, I went for the paycheck. It was a bigger paycheck. And I jumped at it. I should not have jumped at it. The guy, looking at where the company I left is today and the guy that they hired to replace me today, I shouldn't have, I would still be where I am, don't get me wrong. But I went for the paycheck, and that's the wrong reason to go anywhere. Go for the experience. Go for what you're going to learn. Don't go for the paycheck. And I 100% went for the paycheck. And I should not have done that. You gotta learn as much as you can and every step of the way, and be patient. So wherever you are in your career, whatever stage of your career you're in, learn as much as you can in that position within whatever company, and don't just go for the paycheck, because it's not worth it. It's not worth it. There's decisions we have to make, right? Like I said, I got 2 kids. I personally made the decision that I was going to be involved with their lives and their extracurricular activities, more specifically their sports, right? I played football, basketball, baseball all the way through high school, almost played in college, right? Got that. I coached my son from 2nd grade through 7th grade, because then in 8th grade they start playing for school. I coached him football, basketball, baseball. I get kids who are seniors in high school now that every time they see me at one of the high school games, look at me and say, "Hey, Coach Hunter, how you doing?" Right? I coach my daughter. She plays basketball and soccer. I coached her from 2nd grade all the way through 7th grade. Right? She started playing for the middle school team in 8th grade. She made the high school team as a freshman in high school. Right? I got girls on the varsity high school team that look at me, "Hey, Coach Hunter, how you doing?" At multiple schools, right? Because it's the rec league and the community that the kids go to multiple schools. But I made the conscious decision that I was going to be involved with my kids' lives. And I was going to coach their teams because I got a finite amount of time to play, right? Look, my kids aren't going to college to play sports. They're very good high school athletes. But, my son's 6 feet tall, 185 pounds. He's a third baseman. Really? And he ain't pushing 6'3", 6'4" at third, right? My daughter's 5'9". She can drain it from the 3-point line, but her vertical is like 2 inches. They're very good high school players, but they're not going to college. But I made the decision that I wanted to be involved with their lives and their games and their teams. So what does that mean? Well, that means I'm not traveling as much as maybe I should be for work, right? And if I'm not in front of people in their office, taking them to lunch, playing golf, taking them to dinner, we have a saying in our office, people do business with people they like, they trust, and respect. And you got to have all three, right? So I made that. I've taken more red eyes back from Seattle and San Francisco and LA to Atlanta to be at a 5th grade, 9 a.m. Saturday morning football game than I know what to do with when, like, my brother would still be in Seattle. And I'm like, dude, I gotta go. Have I lost business because I've done that? Yeah, 100%. And I can point to it. I can tell you I lost that deal and that deal and that deal and that deal because it was more important to me to get home to be at the game for my kids. They'll be in college and off, and I can travel all I want to. The way I look at it is, my office gets mad at me because I don't travel enough. My wife gets mad at me because I travel too much, which means I'm probably doing the right amount.
Right there in the sweet spot. Yep. Any other questions? Yes, sir. I can't hear you. You're going to have to stand up and yell.
Does your company have any external factors to take advantage of in those slow periods, such as the stock market or like other investments?
We all invest personally in the stock market. we all, whether you manage your own money or, there's private wealth managers out there. And some of y'all could go into private wealth management, right? Where you manage people's money for them, right? So we all do that. We do not own hotels per se, right? We know all the equity groups, we know all the debt providers, we see all the deals. We have been asked, hey, why don't you start your own real estate funds that acquires hotels, right? To which we have said, hey, if I have a fund that acquires hotels and I call you up and say, hey, you have a fund that acquires hotels, you should buy this hotel, what's the first thing that should come out of your mouth? Why didn't you buy it? So we see that as a conflict of interest. So we've never done a fund on our own. Now, we have been in business for a long time. And I have made my clients a lot of money. And it's fun flying on their planes with them all around the country, don't get me wrong. So what they will do is they will send us a perspective and say, hey, we're buying this hotel, or we're going to develop this hotel. Do you guys want to be equity partners? Right? It's not so sometimes we'll get involved with that. Sometimes we won't. My brother and I always review it. And then disseminate the information to our team with, hey, guys, here it is. If you want in, knock yourself out. Here's the information. Y'all are big boys and girls. Y'all make this decision yourself. I'm going to invest in it. I'm not going to invest in it. Here's why. But y'all make your own decisions. Sometimes the buy-ins as little as, $5,000 a share. Sometimes it's $100,000 a share. How many shares do you want? Sometimes they work out. Sometimes they don't work out. And there's a reason Donald Trump has made and lost millions in hotels, right? Which is fascinating because, again, my clients who have made a lot of money, again, they're all flying around in their own planes now, right? When COVID hit in 20, with the exception of the financial crisis in 08, 09, all they knew was they made money.
Right.
They never knew
Prosper.
They never knew a downturn. They never lost money.
Yeah.
You build it, they will come, right? And then when COVID, so it's fascinating because it changed some of their business models. I had a client who at the time owned 20 hotels, and I was talking with him, and this was 2019, and I said, you need to take some chips off the table. I'm not saying sell 20 hotels, but let's look at these things and pick 5 to sell. Just take some chips off the table, right? It's like when you're playing cards and you're winning, you take a little bit off and put it in your pocket, right? And we looked at it, and there was one hotel in particular, and if any of y'all are from Atlanta or know the Buckhead area of Atlanta, the Element on Piedmont Road in Buckhead. I said, you could make a lot of money by selling this. And he looked at me and said, Lee, Ethan, who is his son, who was in high school at the time, Ethan's kids will own that hotel. It's a legacy asset for our firm. COVID hits. His business model changed. Ethan's kids will no longer own that hotel because he sold it, along with 10 other hotels that he owned, made a lot of money because all those private equity funds that had raised hundreds of millions of dollars were dying to buy stuff. So we said, hey, they're dying to buy stuff. You're really tired of running these things right now. Why don't you don't hate the player, go ahead and feed it to him. And his whole business model has changed from, I'm going to develop a hotel, manage it, own it. When my construction loan matures, I'm going to refinance it, and I'm going to renovate it when my brand tells me to renovate it, to, I'm getting this thing built, I'm getting it up, I'm getting it open, and I'm getting it sold. So his entire business model changed coming out of COVID.
So do the brands dictate when they have to make updates?
Yes.
Do they help pay for it?
No.
Wow. So they just, when you buy it, do you have a timeline? Like, we're going to rebrand in possibly 10 years, you're going to have to fit a $40 million upfit? Yeah,
let's say you're going to buy the Hampton Inn out at 26, right? Just because everybody knows the Hampton Inn out at 26. You're going to buy that Hampton Inn. Hilton owns the Hampton brand. So you have to apply to Hampton to say, hey, I'm buying this hotel, Hilton, can I keep it as a Hampton? Am I qualified?
Right.
Financially, operationally, whole 9 yards, to operate this thing as a Hampton Inn. And Hilton, let's say, says, yeah, sure, you're great. Here's the renovation you got to do.
Right.
It's $5 million. You're buying it for $10 million. You got $3 million worth of renovations you got to do. You got to buy new TVs, paint the rooms, new carpet, new bedding, whatever. You got $3 million worth of renovation, and you got a year and a half to do it. So they absolutely dictate.
Wow.
And it's, okay, now the cynic in me is coming out. They're all publicly traded companies, right? Hilton, Marriott, Hyatt, Choice, Wyndham, IHG, they're all publicly traded companies. So they're all focused on growing their stock price. Well, how do you grow your stock price? Same store sales increase, or you have more stores, right? So when I got in the business, AOP, area of protection, was a 10-mile radius. So staying with our Hampton Inn example, you own the Hampton Inn. Nobody else could build a Hampton Inn within a 10-mile radius of you. Well, the Hilton franchise development team is very good at selling Hampton Inn franchises. So they go out, they do their job, the market gets built out. Wait a minute, I can't build a Hampton Inn anymore because they're all over the place and they're 10-mile radiuses and I can't. Well, wait a minute. I got to have same-store sales increase or more stores. All right, we're going to shrink that area of protection from 10 miles to 7 miles.
Yeah.
All right, franchise development team, go sell more Hampton Inn franchises. We're going to build more Hampton Inns, and then it gets built out. All right, we've got to grow our stock price. Same-store sales, got to increase. We've got to have more stores. Okay, let's shrink the AOP from 7 miles to 5 miles. You get the gist. It's now 3 miles. So, and then when they build out all the Hampton Inns, then they come out with another brand.
Right, yes.
Right, they now have...
There's lots of new brands
There's
right
lots
now.
of new brands. So they, right, so they, hey, you're a 30-year-old box building that says Hampton Inn out front. We don't want you to be a Hampton Inn anymore. We've created this new brand called Spark. So we want you to convert to Spark. Oh, what did we just do? We opened up the market for another new build Hampton Inn.
Right.
So I have look, I know the CEOs of every major brand. I'll pick them up, I'll call them on my cell phone right now, right? One of them's getting ready to write a rec letter for my son.
Nice.
So, yeah, hey, great guy. But they're all focused on the stock price, so there's an inherent conflict of interest with them corporately and their franchisees, which is a love-hate relationship with those people.
Okay, it is 8:11. We did an hour and 10 minutes. That's pretty good. Any more questions?
I would like for
Oh.
you to touch on one thing.
Okay, hold up.
So our motto is while we live, we serve, right? And so giving back to the industry is something you all have done too, even though your firm is smaller. Tell them in 2 minutes about your conference and what you all do
Yes.
to try to get back to them.
Okay, I have a side hustle, which is becoming more of a full-time gig, but we produce a conference. Every year in Atlanta in March, I'll have, we're planning on like 2,300 people in attendance this year. And it's primarily hotel, real estate, and finance. Panels, discussions, breakout sessions, general sessions, the whole nine. It's 2 day and a half this year. We shortened it a little bit. But we started it, again, my father started it. Somebody made him mad, and so we started this conference. Lesson there, don't make my dad mad. And we started it in conjunction with Georgia State, who's no longer actively involved as it's gotten bigger. But when we started it, you had to be associated with a university that had a hotel school. And there was NYU at the time, NYU and UCLA did conferences very similar to ours. So we did with Georgia State. We're in Atlanta, they're in Atlanta, made sense. Georgia State's not overly involved, but to this day, we, coming out of the conference, one, we have students from 30 colleges and universities around the country that attend at an extremely discounted rate. So any real estate and finance types that want to attend a conference on hotels, let me know and we can get you set up there. But like South Carolina sent kids this year, Auburn, Alabama, Cornell, Michigan State, Penn State, University of Houston, UNLV, Southern Cal, Miami, Florida, just to name a few, all sent students this year. but then we have a scholarship at the hotel school at Georgia State funded through the conference.
So when the students go, are they just attending the conference for the learning curve, or are they volunteering and helping with the conference?
Both. Mm-hmm. Some just attend because they want to attend. Mm-hmm. Others, the dean of the school will handpick 4 or 5, and they will come and they will work. They'll work from 8 to noon, and then they got the rest of the day free, and then the next shift will work from, noon to 5, and then the next shift will work from, 5 to 8. Right. And then they rotate that through, but when they're not working, they do whatever they want to do with respect to the conference.
Y'all should think about it.
And again, it's, every major brand is a sponsor. Like this year, we're doing a chat like this with the CEO of Hilton, Chris Nassetta, he'll be there. Last year was Mark Hoplamazian, he's the CEO of Hyatt. Year before that was Tony Capuano, CEO of Marriott. And then name your bank that provides debt for hotel deals. Private equity guys that are heavily involved in the hotel space, Blackstone, Starwood Capital, HIT, Brookfield, their CEOs are all there speaking. So it's an educational event as much as anything.
And his brother, Teague on YouTube does Teague Talks.
Yeah,
Teague Walks.
And that started.
It's a good thing.
It started in COVID. COVID hit March of 20, right? When did I just say our conference is? Anybody paying attention? March. So COVID. I'll never forget. My son's first baseball game of the season. 5:30 first pitch. By the time the game ended at 7:30, the NBA had indefinitely suspended the rest of its season. Trump had closed down all inbound international travel. And there was another big conference that takes place in Atlanta that has it's a citywide, so it has 50,000 people. They canceled. And this was less than a week before my conference was supposed to happen. Obviously, we canceled or postponed. But then we were sitting around the office trying to figure out, okay, it's COVID. Nobody knows what to do. But people still want to connect, right? That's part of the big thing that y'all need. People still want to get together and connect. So we started recording Zoom calls with people in the industry and edit them in-house. And our first one was with the then CEO of Marriott, Arne Sorensen, may he rest in peace. And then it went from there, and it sort of grew and took on a life from there. So, there's the TED Talks. My brother's name is Teague. Teague Talks, wasn't that big of a stretch. They're on YouTube, you can watch them. We talk with all kind of industry personnel. We've started doing Teague Walks, which is the camera crew goes and walks a hotel. Marriott has asked, it'll be interesting, Ritz-Carlton, more information than y'all want. Marriott's come out with a Ritz-Carlton cruise line.
Oh.
And so Marriott's asked us to do a Teague walk of one of their Ritz-Carlton's cruise ships. So we're negotiating with them right now you fly us to the Mediterranean and we'll do a Teague walk on your brand new cruise ship, Ritz-Carlton cruise ship. So they're fun. They're on YouTube. Watch them. They're fun.
Well, I think I probably speak for Presbyterian College in thanking you for taking the time out to come for 2 days out of your busy schedule and enlighten the younger generation on your business and your life, and it's very appreciative. And so thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. Good. All right, thank you.
Hey, if anybody has any questions, Feel free to ask.
Yes.